We're going to jump in with the American Bully by the numbers. We're going to be talking about code of ethics. We're going to be talking about progesterone testing and anything else I can think of about the American Bully by the numbers. Numero uno, number one. Did you know you can't be selling American Bullies to a raffle? If you go down to the code of ethics, and you go all the way down to where it says, I will not. And it reads, I will not sell, give away, or otherwise transfer dogs to any pet shop, either on consignment or outright, nor will I transfer dogs to any medical facility, animal wholesaler, auction, or raffle. Now, right off the bat, there's a little bit of controversy. If you're not able to sell it to a raffle, can you sell dogs in a raffle? I would think that the spirit of what I just read says no. Let me know what you think. While we're still on number one, we might as well go to the code of ethics. Considerations while exhibiting. Did you know you're not supposed to bring a female in full-blown heat to a show? I know a lot of you know this, and you do it on purpose. But either way, let's read it. It says, I will not bring a female in heat to an ABKC sanctioned show. I can only wonder what happens when you do. Do you get docked points? Do they write you up? Is there like a 3-strike rule? We're now jumping to number two, dos. And obviously, you need 2 dogs for breeding. But that's not why you came for number 2. You see, number 2 is a little bit complicated because in reality, if you go to the code of ethics of the ABKC down to the brood female, you go down to number 5. And amongst other things, it says, nor allowed to have her more than 2 litters in succession, i.e. back to back with no season in between. Meaning you should be breeding females 2 seasons in a row and then giving them a break before breeding them again. Which then brings me to this other part in number 2, which is part of the transfer of puppies and adult dogs down in the code of ethics. And if you go to number 2, it says, I will not allow any puppy to permanently leave my premises before the age of 8 weeks. Yeah, 8 weeks. It's right there, black and white. So in case you didn't know it, you shouldn't be letting puppies leave before that. So we jump into number 3, numero tres. And we spent too much time on the brood bitch. Let's talk about the males a little bit. If you go in code of ethics all the way down to stud dogs and you read number 3, it states ABKC requires all dogs siring 3 or more litters to be DNA profiled. Notice the word requires, which supersedes the one above it, number 2, which says ABKC recommends having my stud dog or dogs microchipped, health tested, and DNA before breeding. Now that's the recommendation. But if you have 3 or more studdings with that dog, it is requiring a DNA profile. Did you know this? If you didn't know this, go ahead and leave a comment down below. So let's go to number 4, numero cuatro. And that's how many generations you need to be considered a bloodline in some people's eyes. In my opinion, it's 6, but 4 is the bare minimum I've heard of. Also, 4 days after your female starts to bleed, you should go run and get a PG test, or progesterone test for that matter. Did you know that in the code of ethics, in the area where it says, I will not, if you go down to number 4, this is what it says. I will not falsify pedigrees, medical clearances, or breeding information. Yeah, it's right there, black and white. How many of you feel that the ABKC should add a stipulation of the punishment right then and there next to falsifying pedigrees, medical clearances, and breeding information? If you believe this, drop a number 4 down in the comments. Number 5, now I'm going to be throwing a lot at you, so pay attention. When you have a 5 on a progesterone test that runs through the IDEX measurement, it means your dog just started ovulating. Also, if you go to number 5 on stud dogs, it reads this: I will use my dog only on those females I feel are an asset to the breed. Huh, that's interesting. Because if you could only breed to females you feel are an asset to the breed, then how does the person that has a female that isn't an asset improve their line? I mean, at some point, you had to have a female that wasn't an asset. But I get exactly what this is saying. You should be breeding to females that actually bring something to the breed. Doesn't mean that if your female has a fault that she's worthless. It means that she's got to be bringing something. Breed type, amazing rear, thickness, bone, etc. Which also brings me to the 5 minerals that NuVet actually brings to your dogs. We're talking about none other than phosphorus, potassium, zinc, selenium, not to mention vitamin A, E, and C. So if you're out here feeding kibble and your dog is nutritionally east-west, I suggest you start using NuVet, as it is cold-pressed and bioavailable. And wouldn't you know it, so too is NuJoint DS, as it brings glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, vitamin C. Okay, it's only 4, but who's counting? It looked like 5. And this stuff, along with this stuff, it's going to help your dog's joints. It's going to help your dog's health. It's going to help your dog's everything. Which brings us to number 6, número 6, which is the amount of times the ABKC allows you to breed a female. If you go down to brood females, number 5, you come all the way down, and it's going to say, nor allow her to rear more than 6 litters in her lifetime. Also in number 6, recently I've been seeing online people that are having dogs like tied to a tree with a chain and that sort of thing. I love the fact that the ABKC kind of addresses this. If you go to their number 6 on Code of Ethics, it reads, I will maintain an environment of consistently high standards of care for all my dogs owned by me. Now, I wish there would be a little bit more specific, but I get you can't be. Nonetheless, high standards is how you should be keeping your dogs. Now, number 7, número 7, is a gut check. This is going to let you know if you got breeder DNA or not, because even though it's going to be a hard pill to swallow, it's what responsible breeders do. If you go down to brood females, number 7, it reads, I will have any puppy that is born with a crippling defect or that is suffering from an irreversible illness humanely euthanized by a veterinarian, realizing that this is part of being a responsible breeder. For those of you that are new to breeding, that's where the word culling comes in, and culling is when you are humanely putting down pups that are either coming with crippling defects that are suffering or undeniable faults that are just way too much for the dog to be able to have quality of life. Number 8. Now, 8 is crucial. It's crucial you listen, because there's 2 types of readings when you do progesterone testing. You have IDEX and minivitis. So an 8 on a minivitis means that your dog just started ovulating. I'm proud of you. However, an 8 through 11 on an IDEX machine means it's time for the first breeding. And we'll come back to more of this as we go forward in the numbers. But just next, we're jumping into number 9, número 9. First of all, 9 is the amount of weeks that females are pregnant. Now, mind you, I have found, at least for American Bully XLs, when they have a bigger litter, they're going to go almost the full length of 9 weeks or 63 days. In fact, they typically give birth on day 59. Now, if the litter is small on an American Bully XL, say maybe just 1, 2, or even 3 pups, you're going to get closer to that day 63. Also, did you know that the ABKC actually recommends that you microchip and DNA test your dogs? In fact, if you read number 9 on the Code of Ethics, it says, I agree to follow recommendations set forth by the ABKC, such as microchip DNA and health testing for all my dogs. Yeah, when you signed off on that temporary registration paperwork you sent in, you're agreeing to all these bylaws. If you agree that we should be microchipping and DNA testing all our dogs, drop down in the comments number 9, hell yeah. But if you disagree, drop down number 9, no way. And let's have a discussion. So now we come to number 10, número 10. And this one here, I got to wag my finger at the ABKC. You'll see here in a sec. If you go down to number 5 on brood females of the Code of Ethics of the ABKC, it states, I will not breed my female after she has passed her 10th birthday. 10th birthday. Like, ABKC, I know that the projection of our dogs are to live anywhere between 8 to 10 years in some cases, or 10 to 12 years. Can we bring this number down to maybe 8 or 7? Because 10, there's going to be people out here with 9-year-old dogs getting pregnant, if you know what I'm saying. Number 11, número 11. I get asked all the time, dude, when do I sign the litter registration? That's what number 11 on the Code of Ethics is going to tell you, under stud dogs. And it says, I will sign the litter registration from when it is presented to me by the female owner, but only after the litter is on the ground. Don't get caught doing this. when the litter hasn't hit the ground. Because if that litter never hits the ground, you have just collaborated to something illegal, because now those documents will be in that person's hand and they could paper hang whatever dogs they may like. So not onto the litters on the ground, guys. So we're on to the next one, number 12, numero 12, which is how many months your female has to be of age before you're allowed to breed her in the eyes of the ABKC. You go down to the Code of Ethics, brood females number 3. It says, I will not breed my female before she has reached the age of 1 year, and then only if she is physically and emotionally mature enough to handle a litter. I will tell you this, guys, if you want to be legal with the ABKC, that's what's legal. But it's not necessarily moral. You could ask anyone in the community, breeding a female on her first heat cycle or even her second heat cycle is usually frowned upon. Now, I'm well aware that we have different classes, and the smaller classes actually grow and mature faster. Even then, I can't see a pocket female bully giving birth at 12 months. Let me know if you agree with this or you disagree down in the comments. So let's move on to number 13, numero 13. And that brings us to 13 through 16 inches at withers. It's what's considered a female pocket based on the ABKC illustration. So we might as well jump to number 14, 14. And it is 14 to 17 inches at withers that your dog is considered a pocket if he is a male. So let's move on to number 15, numero 15. And it is between the numbers 15 and 20 that you should be doing your first breeding on the mini Vitus. You thought I forgot, huh? Also, for those of you that are constantly hitting me up, saying you lost your registration, as long as you signed it and sent it in, and they sent you back your registration, it's $15 to get a duplicate. So let's move on to number 16, numero 16, which is the amount of breeds that are covered by the ABKC. You go to breeds on the ABKC website, you're going to see they cover the American Bulldog, the American Bully, the Pit Bull Terrier, the American Staffordshire Terrier, the Boston Terrier, the Bull Terrier, the Cane Corso, Dogo Argentino, English Bulldog, French Bulldog, Miniature Bull Terrier, New Age Bulldog, Old English Bulldog, Pacific Bulldog, Prater, and Shorty Bull. How about them apples? Also, 16 to 19 inches at withers is what a female is considered to be either a classic or standard, based on the ABKC illustration. Which then brings us to number 17, which is 17 to 20 inches. It's what males are considered to be either classic or standard based on the ABKC illustration. If you're unsure if your dog is a classic or a standard, you could always hit me up for a consult. All you need to do is download QBN app, which is absolutely free. Click contact us and I'll respond to you directly. 17 on the IDEX is the last that you can do a natural AI before that cervix closes, meaning once it closes, the only way you could get through is through a TCI, which is a transcervical insemination, or a surgical insemination. Which now brings me to number 18, 18, and I have nothing for 18, so give me a suggestion, write something below. Let me know how 18 pertains to American Bullies. 19 brings us to the IDEX, which tells you it is perfect for a surgical implant once it is at 19. Now you're probably asking, what is the number for mini Vitus? I would have you wait, but I'm going to give it to you here. It's 35 to 40. Also, 19 to 22 inches at withers, based on the ABKC illustration, is what constitutes a female American Bully XL. Which then brings me to number 20, which I'm going to tell you 20 to 23 inches at withers is what constitutes an American Bully XL male. Also, 20 is how many years the American Bully Kennel Club has been in existence, having its inception in 2004. So for 21, I couldn't find something, so I decided to go ahead and put disease panel, meaning embark, paw print, wisdom panel. As per the ABKC, these could be done at any age, and they're as simple as an oral swab taken by the owner, evaluation done in lab, and it's valid for the lifetime of the dog. Which then brings me to number 22, 22. Did you know that there's 22 points that are brought up on the ABKC's anatomy graph? Starting from the front, working all the way back, you got the top skull, stop, lower jaw, point of shoulder, forechest, forefront. You have a shoulder, crest, withers. You have elbows, pasterns. You have rib cage. You have back. You have loin. You have flank. You have tuck. You have croup. You have stifle. You have point of hip, tail, hind foot, and hock. All 22. Brings me to number 23, 23. And that's the day I take puppies off of mom and put them on mush. Yes. 3 weeks, 2 days. Take them off of mom and put them on mush. Which brings us to 24, 24, which is the recommendation of the ABKC to health test your dog's elbows at 24 months. Now, I know I didn't go over all of these. I'm going to go over them now just to keep everything on the same top. So the trachea is done at 12 months. Dentition or teeth is done at 12 months. Now, trachea and dentition are valid for a lifetime. Eyes are done at 12 months, and they're also only valid for 12 months. Hearing could be done after 35 days, and it's valid for a lifetime. Shoulders can be done at 12 plus months, and it's also valid for a lifetime. Now, hips is a little tricky. OFA is done at 24 plus months, and it's valid for a lifetime. The other hip test that is recommended by the ABKC is pen hip, and it can be done after 16 weeks, and it's also valid for a lifetime. Patellas can be OFA'd after 12 months, and they're also valid for a lifetime. Lastly, cardiac can be done after 12 months, and it is also valid for a lifetime. On to number 25, 25, and it's $25 that a litter registration under a year costs you with the ABKC. That's without counting all that rush and overnight and all that stuff. Now, guys, I just hit up on some of the main points that I read when I went through the Code of Ethics of the ABKC. Make sure to check out the whole thing, not just to protect yourself, but to also know how to handle yourself within the scope of what you legally signed. It's been Raul from the Q, catching you on the next one.